So, and backup audio. All right. So, guys that are watching the stream, we'll do the formal introductions in about 6 minutes, but welcome to the Dr. Travis Yates show. I'm working the sound equipment for him today, and it should be a good show. We got some great topics to talk about. And right now, we're going out to the streamers and the podcast version of the show, and we'll start the radio version in a little less than 6 minutes when we hit satellite radio. So, I think we're off to a good start. So, how was your weekend, Travis?
It was good, man. Good. Saw that new movie everybody's talking about.
Which is, do you remember the name?
The space movie. It's a space movie. I don't know the name. It was pretty good though.
Okay. All right. I haven't been to the theater in a while, so
well, I don't think they're going to be around. I don't think they're going to be around in 5 years. I mean, my family likes going to the movies, and I like that environment, but there's nobody there anymore. So these movie theaters were already on a pretty thin, they basically make money off concessions, and so I don't see how anyone can operate a movie theater these days. So I actually think they're probably being propped up by the movie industry right now. I don't see how mom and pop theaters could be making it, but I have a feeling. I guess they'll be around, but I think most movies aren't going to go to the movies, right? So I think we're already seeing that. So, it's just the way it is. I think COVID probably was the last nail in it. When COVID happened, COVID changed everything because, we went from 2 weeks to stop the spread to 6 years of panic. So,
you're right. When I got to tell you, when I go to the theater, I like to go to the ones that are a little bit more restricted, that a little bit, like we got a few down here that have a liquor license, and they have they have really good food. So it's a restaurant / alcohol.
Yeah.
Not that I'm going there to get tanked, but it raises the cost of being able to go there. And so some of the riffraff just doesn't get in. And I'm talking about the people that are sitting there on their cell phones. They're talking, they're watching little, it's just very distracting and stuff. So by controlling that, I'd rather pay a little bit extra money when I go and be able to eat if I want to. So I like those. Do they have those where you're at?
We do, but I still have a minor, so we don't usually go to those. But there's some high end. There's some ones that are high end enough to where it's pretty good. But yeah, I just think it's probably. I guess there'll be some movies around, but I don't think it'll be very many. Just kind of like drive-in theaters. There's still a couple around, but there's not many.
I ended up getting I converted a room to a home theater room.
I did too. I did too. That's the other thing, right? So it takes a lot. It's hard to convince me to leave the house.
So it's detached from my setup. It's detached from my house. So I have to walk out to get to it. But then my wife, and I spent all this money on all the equipment and stuff. And then my wife wanted to get a sound bar for the TV in the house. And I was like, if we do that, we're not going to be using the home theater room anymore, I suspect. And so sure enough, and of course, now there's big screens, everywhere. And I got good sound. When was the last time I watched a movie in my theater room?
Well, it's been years. I built, the first one I built was upstairs, and it was it was projector and 100-inch screen. It was surround sound, all this stuff. And you're right. We never hardly went up there. And so we ended up just scrapping it. And we used one of the spare bedrooms. And I waited till my bulb went out in my projector. It was old school projectors. Those bulbs were like $500-$600, right?
Yeah, I remember those. Yeah.
So when that bulb finally went out, it was a great little area. But when that bulb finally went out, I went and bought a 85-inch TV at Walmart for like $400, and I just stuck it in there with the sound bar, and it's just as good pretty much. So,
yeah, I remember I wanted my THX certified system and stuff.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I had my clip speakers in there. They're still there.
Here's funny, man. I've been cleaning out my garage, and I found the receipt from remember when you used to do surround sound, you had to buy a big box that connected everything?
Yeah. I have one in my home theater room. Yeah.
15 years ago, I paid $400 for it. So that's probably like $1,000 box today, right? So, it was high end, man. I had everything. I was all geeked out about it.
Cords coming all the way in and out of
it. Oh, yeah. Nothing was wireless back then. You had to run cords through the ceilings and all that. But we just didn't really go up there much, right? I was just like, wow, our TV down here is pretty good. So anyway, so but the setup we have now is just a bedroom. So we go there pretty much every night. And I got on Facebook and I bought those reclining chairs on Facebook. I mean, they're just as good as movie seats. I mean, you freaking leather seats, you recline
See,
back,
that's what I.
and it's just as comfortable as a movie. And
We didn't
so
do the
yeah,
recliner and the. Well, I'm kind of glad now because we don't use the room anymore. We had a sleeper sofa before I knew that people don't use sleeper sofas because they're not comfortable enough to sleep on. And so now we do have a recliner sofa in there. Actually, now that I think about it, it's not individual. I like the individual, chairs, but this is a recliner sofa on both sides. But no one ever uses it, So
yeah, we started with the couch, but we finally found some really nice chairs on Facebook. Like it's great, but yeah, hard to get me to the movie when I got that right here at the house.
So if I ever come stay with you, that's the room I want to stay in. I already know.
Yeah.
Hey, 16 seconds out. We're getting close. So I'm going to go ahead and start. I see that we got Sergeant George on right now, and he's on along with the other people on. Looks like he's on YouTube. It looks like we got also Facebook, Rumble, guys. So stick with us, guys. We're starting the radio portion. Here we go. All right, guys, and welcome to Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host. We're a group of law enforcement professionals that talk about today's news and issues, but we do it from a law enforcement perspective. And yes, you recognize him, Dr. Travis Yates, retired police major from the Tulsa Police Department. So thanks for being on the show, Dr. Travis. Also, a shout out to our sponsors. We have Galls at galls.com. They are our title sponsor. We also have complianttechnologies.com, our satellite sponsor, getting us on satellite radio right now. Also, gunlearn.com, mymedicare.live, safeguardrecruiting.com, our streaming sponsor. And thanks to Safeguard, we're streaming with over 1 million followers right now on social media during the live show. And if you have an agency and you're having trouble getting people, or you just want to get people the right way so that you can retain them or they're not going to leave, hey, StreamYard, safeguardrecruiting.com, they're the guys to go to that'll get it done, and they'll do it right the first time. And that way you're not going to be bribing people to come to your agency and promise them things you can't deliver on and then worry about them going to a different agency later on. Safeguard Recruiting gets it done. Also, twobells.com. They built a new online store at leoroundtable.com. If you want cool shirts like the one I'm wearing or the coffee mug behind me, we've got shirts, hats, pants. We've got just about everything on there. So check that out. leoroundtable.com, upper right-hand corner. We've got our online store. And also, a shout out to our very own Travis Yates. Thanks for our presence on lawofficer.com. We also have Ray Dietrich with formerlawman.com and Brian Burns with the Tampa Free Press at tampaepi.com. Thanks for all those entities for helping make the show happen. And now, what in the world are Travis and I going to be talking about today? Let me just whet the appetite on what some of the stories are. We've got a main story. Trump signals deployment of ICE to airports amid DHS shutdown. No more games. And then Elon is weighing in on this too. Then we got Boston police officer facing a manslaughter charge when he shoots a carjacking suspect. Are you kidding me? And then we got 2 dead after 3 family members end up being stabbed, and the suspect is shot by the Fairfax police officers. We've got a naked dude. He shot when he attacks people, tries to hit the officers with a shovel. There are some problems with this. We will discuss that. Colorado lawmakers reject a bill that would have required officers to intervene, basically go up against ICE agents if they are using excessive force. So maybe there is hope for Colorado after all. We've got a canine, Mako. He finds a suspect pretending to be a trash bag, if you can believe that. Yeah, there's video. And then we got feds moving to dismiss charges against the officers accused of falsifying the warrant in the Breonna Taylor raid. We've also got a vehicle theft suspect taken down and bitten by another canine in Portage County. And then finally, Governor Ron DeSantis here in Florida, he's being pitted up against some sheriffs. We got some sheriffs, including Grady Judd, that are going up against him in a different philosophy on how they deal with the illegal immigrants. And it's kind of a situation that's kind of unique to Florida. We'll discuss that as well if time permits. So if you're ready, Dr. Travis, we'll go and get started on the first story. Tampa Free Press at tampaepi.com. Trump signals deployment of ICE to airports amid DHS shutdown. No more games. Now, I'm just going to kind of condense this instead of just having to read this and put it in my own words. You'd have to have been living under a rock to not be aware of how of what's going on with the funding for the Department of Homeland Security, and how Dems are saying, hey, look, we're not going to give you the funding, any future funding for ICE, even though ICE is funded through 2029. We're not going to give you any more funding in that, if we, we're going to shut down the government basically instead of giving any more funding to ICE. And they're holding hostage agencies like, we've got the Transportation Security Administration, the TSA, and that's why security at the airports is under, so much strain right now. And they're holding it hostage because they want the ICE agents to wear masks. They say that they're doing this because they're killing people. And of course, the two people they killed, I have yet to see anything proving that those were not justified shoots. We know the good one where we got clear video of her, hitting the ICE agent with the car. That was a bona fide good shoot. That chick's dead because of what she did. And then we have Elon Musk coming in saying that, hey, I'll cover the salaries of these people, of the TSA people, until we get the government back open. But Trump is not wanting to wait. He wants to move the ICE guys in. He's saying, hey, look, while we're there, we're going to be grabbing the illegals while we're there too. So thanks for the opportunity. He's going to make it work that way. Dr. Travis Yates, your take on this?
When are Democrats going to learn? They're not playing with a typical politician here. What a 4-level chess move by the president, right? I don't know who's advising these politicians, but they had a little momentum behind them after Minneapolis because it was just a disaster, and the media was a disaster. And I think normal people see that for what it is, but there was a little bit, Republicans took a little bit of hit there because that's exactly what Democrats wanted. They wanted chaos to reign. And then they go and they totally screw up the travel of regular day Americans because of it. And I think that probably that's even shifting back. And so my anticipation is Trump is saying this because you got to remember how Trump operates. They still don't understand it. He always comes out with this, I'm going to do this. And it always isn't what he's going to do, but it almost scares the opposition into giving in, right? And so my guess is he's never going to have to put ICE inside airports because the Democrats are going to all of a sudden go, oh my, okay. We'll
start today.
Yeah,
it's supposed to start today. But
I'm telling you, man, the minute he says the word ICE, because listen, everyone that's traveled to an airport knows that ICE is going to be busy at an airport with illegal immigration. Everybody that works there, everybody that goes to the airport knows when you look around, you go, well, ICE is going to have a field day here. Now, here's what you have to look for because you're not dealing with sane people here oftentimes. What the Democrats are going to want is they're going to want chaos in the airports. They're going to want to create a Minneapolis inside airports. So it would not shock me that they don't send in protesters inside airports.
Really? Interesting.
Even buying them a plane ticket and get them into security and then have them act crazy in front of an ICE agent. That's not going to surprise me. And I have a feeling that the Trump administration is aware of that and they'll know that. And by the way, if you commit crimes in an airport, it's different in the streets of Minneapolis.
That's right.
So that would be what my reaction would be. So this 4-level chess that President Trump plays, I have a feeling he's already ahead of that. And literally, there'll be people that think they're getting their $500 a day and a plane ticket to go in there and make a viral scene in the airport. And they'll go to federal prison for 10 years. I'm telling you, the airports don't play. And so that's going to be very interesting to see play out. And I think it's just comedy. I think it's great. Of course, put federal agents in the airport. They try to separate ICE away from federal law enforcement shit. No, they are federal law enforcement. ICE and ATF and they all have the same federal jurisdiction. They may specialize in a certain thing, but they all have the same federal jurisdiction, and airports are federal jurisdictions. So it's very appropriate. It's very funny, and it's going to be very interesting to see how the reaction is to this.
Yeah, the last statement I saw from President Trump was that it's likely that a lot of these ICE guys might be doing more traffic control and other things like that, and freeing up the TSA guys to be, actually hands-on in the airport and stuff. But however they work it, that he saw this coming a mile away, and and he's going to use this to his advantage.
And the other thing interesting, Chip, is not every airport is chaotic with the long lines. That's weird to me. Like you'll see these. Look how long the line is at Detroit or LaGuardia or whatever. But then at other airports, you get through in just a few minutes. So I don't know what's going on there. I don't know whether there's actual policies in certain cities that are causing this. But or is it even true? Right? I mean, who knows with the media? They love to post all these long lines, but I hang out with a bunch of people that travel all the time, and no one's complained about it yet. Like in real world, I've not seen it. People I hang out with haven't seen it, so who knows?
Yeah. So the people that are listed the other side, look, there's a lot of people that watch the show, and you guys are rubbing elbows with people that are on the other side of this equation, right? They think that, man, what are because the Dems are saying the same thing about us. We're saying, hey, they're holding this thing hostage, unless we give in to the demands they're making for ICE. They want to have more restrictions on ICE officers, but it bothers me. I was watching a debate on Fox yesterday, and the female on Fox never really called the Democrat congressman on what he was saying. He's talking about how ICE is killing people, and he named, Good but she never called him on that. And she said, what was improper about the killing? Yeah, would you rather the ICE agent, be dead? The examples they're using, and then, of course, they want them to not be able to wear masks, knowing full well that they're doxing agents, they're giving away their address information, their families are in danger and stuff. Just some ludicrous demands that they're making. And so that's on our side, but that's the side of both arguments. So,
well, I wish somebody would ask them what standards do you want ICE to operate under? ICE has to operate under the same standards that all federal law enforcement has to operate under. Case law, policies, procedures. I mean, they're upset about the mask thing, but hey, quit doxing them. Pass a federal law that make doxing a federal crime, and I bet they will take their mask off and then arrest everybody that doxes them, but they won't do that. So this is set. Listen, this is a repeat of 2020. They took a few isolated incidents and they blanketed the entire profession. And regardless of that use of force was improper or proper, we don't know that today. Regardless, you don't blanket an entire profession based on two actions, because they have deported thousands and thousands. They've made thousands and thousands of contacts, hundreds of thousands of contacts, right? And so, but that's what the politicians do. That's what the media does. And hopefully people see through that, because I think most people just want to be safe. They want ICE to be like a referee. They're there, but I don't even know they're there. And by the way, if you're a citizen in America and you're not out there acting a fool of yourself, you're never going to know they are there.
The Renee Good shooting, anybody worth their salt. I haven't met anybody that can say that they're any way, shape, or form that's not a legit shoot, because we actually got video of the car hitting him. Now, the one with Alex Pretty, there's really not a lot of video on that to show one or the other. I still believe it's a justified shoot, but
we watch a video that looks like Renee Good every week on this show. We watch that play out every week. And after break, I'll tell you about the Alex Pretty shooting if you want to keep going.
Okay. All right. I want to hear it. 10 seconds out, guys. Our first commercial break. Stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, guys, time to talk about our title sponsor, Galls at Galls.com. And as police officers, one thing we do really well, we love to buy gear. And when you throw the online option, the choices are limitless. But here's what I want to do. I want to remind everybody about what really is most important here, and it's about supporting the companies that actually support law enforcement. And I don't know of a company that does that better than Galls at Galls.com. Even their motto on the banner behind me, it says it as well: proud to serve those who serve, which of course they do in spectacular fashion. Not only that, they walk the talk by supporting dozens of focused organizations like this radio show. So when you're looking for gear, please support our title sponsor by going to Galls at Galls.com, and they're going to do you one better. For the loyal listeners of the show, they've got a 15% code that they're going to give you, so you get 15% off your next order at Galls.com. It's Radio 15. You can use that Radio 15 code. Just type in Radio 15 in order to get 15% off. The next time you go to the Galls.com, it'll work on most purchases, and they have gift cards. Hook up your family, friends, and loved ones with a new Galls gift card. They'll be your new best friends. Everything at Galls.com. All right, 2 minutes, guys, before we come back to the radio portion of the show. And I think we're off to a good start, Travis. And hey, I'm just looking at the commentary here. I know that we've got Alan Inman. He's back. Dems hate law enforcement until they are a victim. Yeah, that's true. Until they're a victim, then their attitude changes. We got Betty Dunn. Thanks for watching the show. Sergeant George. I know I saw some other guys here as well. I think it was, Arthur Johnson, 70 degrees in Richmond, Virginia. And then over on the Rumble side, we've got MBS, where it's 44, Northwest Colorado. Not bad. And Chili's in Pennsylvania, So yep, we got a good crew
Well,
watching the
let
show.
me address that comment, Chip. I don't think Dems hate law enforcement. I think Dems use law enforcement. They use law enforcement for political power. That's the big difference here, because they don't hate him. When the Capitol Police Officer Brian Sicknick was not killed on January 6th, he died 2 days later of natural causes. You don't have to believe me, read the autopsy. They used that as a tragic line of duty death. Donald Trump did it, and they put him in the rotunda, and they made a big deal about it because it's all politics. So they don't hate law enforcement. They will love law enforcement if it helps them politically. It just so happens the people that are mainly on the left side of the aisle don't particularly like law enforcement. So Democrats know that they should maybe mirror the same thing. But it's not that they hate them; it's that they use them politically, just like the media does. They use them for political power, and that's the whole problem in law enforcement today. When you look at lack of morale, lack of recruiting, lack of retention, it's all because politics has been interjected in it. And that's mainly from one side of the aisle.
All right. So, well, interesting. So, have you guys heard that, especially Alan Inman? Take that and run with it. We got 10 seconds out, guys, coming back to the show. We'll see you on the other side. Here we go. All right, guys, and welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host. We're joined by Dr. Travis Yates, retired police major from the Tulsa Police Department. We've been talking about the Dems and the Republicans going at it. The Dems don't want to fund the government, so we have a partial shutdown we're still dealing with. Meanwhile, the Republicans are not letting the Dems, force them to basically defund ICE and open up TSA and all that other stuff. And when we went to commercial break, we just talked about the Renee Good and Alex Preddy shooting. And Travis Yates, I was saying that clear video, it didn't come out timely enough. I wish it would have come out early involving Renee Good, but look, not every police, in my opinion, not every police shooting. You don't need guys like Jamie Borden or Vaughn Kleem for most shootings to know whether they're legit. I just don't believe that you do. It's nice to have that, but I haven't seen a lot of stuff involving the Alex Preddy. Renee Good, I think it's a good shoot, no matter which way you look at it. But I haven't seen a lot on that. But Travis was getting ready to clue us in on some information he's available about that. He has about that shooting. So, Dr. Travis, the floor is yours.
Yeah, first off, Alan, I just saw your comment. No, nothing against what you said. What you said was accurate. I was just sort of diving a little bit deep down that rabbit hole, whether Dems hate law enforcement or not. And people that weren't here off the break, we just described how it's not that they hate law enforcement, they just use them politically. But the Alex Preddy shooting, now I haven't seen the final investigation. It's not out yet, but I do a lot of expert witness work around use of force. And I think I'm going to make some assumptions here. So this is not facts that I'm stating, but I think one of two things occurred here. First off, the SIG P320 was what he was carrying. And that gun has had multiple lawsuits because the gun just goes off. Like literally, there's videos right now on YouTube of literally the gun just going off without a finger on a trigger. So there's been lots of issues with that. A lot of law enforcement agencies have gotten away from that. So one or two things happen. Preddy was wearing a gun. He starts fighting cops. That's really where this whole thing started. Nobody wants to talk about that. He starts fighting cops. They start struggling with him to get him in custody. Okay. The officers, you got to think of the chaotic scene here and the unknown factor. Everybody wants to, after the fact, go, oh, yeah, this happened. No, the officers at the scene have no idea. They have no idea that they just know that he's fighting him and he's got a gun on his hip. At some point, somebody took the gun away from him in the crowd, an ICE agent. But the other ICE agents that are fighting with him. And at one point, they look down and they see a gun. And at another point, they look down and they don't see the gun. So what is your assumption if you're fighting a guy with a gun on his hip? Your assumption is the guy's got a hold of his gun.
That guy's got it, yeah.
That's scenario one. The other scenario, I think what could have happened is when they did take the gun from him, the gun just went off, as we've seen with the P320. I'm not saying as a fact that happened. That's just a theory that I have. So, but the one that's really hard to believe is we just murdered Alex Preddy. That doesn't make any sense whatsoever because a lot was going on that created that. Is it tragic? Of course it is. But this is how tragedies occur when people act completely insane with weapons, and it's an unknown situation for law enforcement, and And if you're in a fight if you're in a fight with a guy with a gun, and all of a sudden the gun is not on the guy's hip anymore, and you don't know for a fact that it's the ICE agents that have taken the gun, your assumption is that he has reached for the gun and obtained the gun. And I bet when they do interviews with those agents, I bet there's a handful of them that had that exact perception. And that's how use of force is judged by the courts, is your perception at the time, not after the fact.
All right, that's an excellent point. And theory, I can't wait to see what comes out in the investigation, see how spot on you are. You probably nailed it one way or the other. So
we'll see.
We'll see. All right. Guys, moving along here, we got our next one here. And let's see, we've got a well, I'll tell you what, let's go to Boston real quick. Lawofficer.com. So this is from Travis's own site. We have Boston police officer faces manslaughter charge after shooting a carjacking suspect. Listen to this, guys. And I don't know, and Travis, I don't know if you've seen the video, and I was reading this, and I didn't have time to try to find the video. So I'm not even sure there's a video out there on this, but we have a Boston police officer, Nicholas O'Malley. He's only 33 years old, arraigned on Thursday in Roxbury Municipal Court. The charge is a voluntary manslaughter, and there was a March 11th fatal shooting of a guy named Stevenson King, who's 39 years old, so 6 years older than the cop. And on March 11th, Boston police responded to a carjacking. They got information from a female victim. She's in the passenger seat of her car. It's running, and she was allegedly assaulted and ordered out of her car by this unknown guy. Now, officers locate the suspect vehicle shortly afterwards. It's in front of the Linwood Square and an address over there. Officer O'Malley and Officer Todd Ho, they spot our bad guy King. He's sitting in the reclined driver's seat of the vehicle that's running. And both officers draw their firearms. They shout commands to our bad guy to show his hands. And he showed his hand at times and then partially opened the driver's window, but he did not shut the car off, and he did not unlock the door. So Officer O'Malley draws his taser, shouts at King, the bad guy, again, saying, "Hey, bro, I'm going to effing shoot you." And at that moment, bad guy puts the car in the gear, puts it in reverse first, backs towards an officer that's behind the vehicle, hits the cruiser, and then he starts going forwards and backwards, trying to escape. And then during the final forward movement, Officer O'Malley fires his gun at least 3 times. He actually hits the bad guy. King's vehicle accelerates. It crashes into a stone wall, comes to a stop, and he's pronounced dead. An autopsy found that he had been struck 3 times with 2 bullets recovered from his torso. There was a 3rd projectile on the passenger side of the seat. And then we've got our Boston Patrolmen's Association. So we got the union president, Larry Calderon. He says that, he's flanked by 60 officers that are in support of this officer that's doing the trial thing, saying no officer ever wants to take a life. They don't want to discharge the firearm. And we carry that piece of equipment to keep you and your family safe. And we do a very good damn job at it. I love the quote that he made. And then we have the defense attorney on the same side, Kenneth Anderson. He pushes back sharply against the prosecution, saying that, the camera doesn't tell everything. It doesn't show adrenaline, doesn't, it's not worried about people's hands or going home at the end of the day and stuff. So Officer O'Malley pled not guilty. He was released on his own recognizance. However, he had to surrender any firearms in his possession because he has already been suspended by the Peace Officer Standards and Training Commission after he was charged. Travis Yates.
Yeah,
we got about 15 seconds.
Yeah, we're seeing this across the country, these types of prosecutions, and you talk about a chill effect for officers and officer safety and officers hesitating. We'll get to the video later where that have happened. So when we come back from break, I'll break this video down based on not what the prosecutor said, but based on what the courts have said in the past.
All right, thanks. Commercial break. Here we go. All right, guys, introducing Compliant Technologies at complianttechnologies.com. And they are committed to providing non-lethal solutions to help officers gain the upper hand safely and rapidly in a humane, low-optics manner, utilizing what they call their CD3, which stands for Conductive Distraction and De-escalation Device Technology. Now, their flagship product, we all know by now, is called the Glove. It's helped officers not only tens of thousands of times, but now they've had over 250,000 deployments with no injuries, no deaths. It's achieved non-lethal status in an arena that predominantly can only offer less lethal results. And when it comes to weapons retention, transitioning to a sidearm or conducted energy weapon, the Glove at CompliantTechnologies.com, they virtually eliminated weapons confusion. So stay ahead of the game with Compliant Technologies and the revolutionary CD3, The hundreds of agencies have already turned to nationwide. And friends, take it from me, when it comes to safety, this is one of the most common sense, hands-on solutions that's ever come along. So go to complianttechnologies.com today and tell them that Chip and Travis sent you. Again, that is complianttechnologies.com. Watch the cool videos as well. You'll be glad that you did. All right, 4 minutes, Travis, till we come back to the radio portion.
It's a banger.
Right, moving right along.
Banger show today. Let me see what we got in the comments. Alan, people that have never been in law enforcement don't understand what goes on. Yeah, and I don't get upset by that, because why would they, right? I don't understand what doctors do or surgeons do or accountants do. But unfortunately, the media makes it seem like everyone should just understand what law enforcement does because they watch movies or TV shows or whatever. In fact, there's some pretty sound research out there where they actually showed citizens a legal justified force, and over 50% of the citizens said it was excessive force. So, right from the start, any video that's out there, half the citizens are going to get it wrong. And of course, you don't need even that many for it to be very loud. And so, nothing much we can do about that other than educate people. I don't think our police leaders do enough educating. We do too much placating. In fact, trademark that. I like that word. We don't educate enough. We only placate, because you can't placate. I saw a comment just the other day where this supposed leader was like, most of these alleged uses of force, that we don't prosecute them, and that hurts the trust in law enforcement, and blah, 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 blah. Well, most alleged uses of force are not excessive uses of force. They're allegations, because most of the public that thinks excessive force is excessive force, they're just wrong with it. I mean, how do you say we have a profession that don't hold ourselves accountable when we video everything we do? And with the FOIA request, any citizen in America can get the video. So I would put that accountability against any other profession out there. But we still have these talking points about we don't hold ourselves accountable. What are you talking about? When I was on the job, and I was on the job for 30 years, if I, as a private citizen off duty, made a Facebook post, I could be investigated for that Facebook post, even though I didn't do it on duty. Of course, we hold our officers accountable 24/7. And then we're talking about this thing in Boston, where that's not accountability, right? That's just, let's just brutalize and hurt these officers. That's not accountability. Accountability isn't when you do something right, you're punished. And so that's what, unfortunately, many people think accountability is. The law enforcement is, let's let them do something right and let's punish them and make them a viral meme anyway.
Hey, I got a question for you, Travis. This video, is this the one where the vehicle, when he broke away from the cops, he kind of turned a corner and he was like turning, making a right-hand turn, and he went down and crashed after he was shot?
I think so. I tried to watch. I saw the video months ago. I had a hard time finding it the other day when I saw the story come out. Yeah, I think he crashed it right as soon as he took off. He then ended up crashing his vehicle because he was, of course, shot. Didn't know it at the time. He knew it then.
Well, yeah, he knew it then. Yeah. I think in describing it, talking about it, I think that I remember seeing that video now, and just the account alone, it just really surprises. I shouldn't be surprised that this guy's charged, because we have a lot of cops that are in bona fide, good shoots, and they're not even given, any benefit of the doubt. They're just charged. So hopefully the right thing will happen in this case.
It's just cowardice by a prosecutor. Instead of a prosecutor saying, "Hey, listen, we looked at case law, and this is a justified shooting," then they would take all the arrows from the politicians and activists, right? It's easy for them to go, "We'll just charge him," and then the jury will make the right decision. And I have no doubt the jury will make the right decision. And then the prosecutor can say, "It wasn't me; it was the jury." It's as weak gets. That's the problem with our society today, is we have a bunch of weak men and women in positions of power.
I agree. Well, guys, we're getting close to coming back to the radio, so I'm going to start Travis's favorite music. We're going back to satellite radio. Here we go. All right, guys, welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host. We're joined by Dr. Travis Yates, retired police major from Tulsa. And we've been talking about Boston police officer facing a manslaughter charge after shooting a carjacking suspect. And that's at lawofficer.com. Travis Yates.
Yeah, so I'm gonna talk about this case the way the prosecutor did not talk about this case, which is the way you should talk about it, which is based on what actual case law says. And if anybody's interested, you can look it up later. But the use of force case law is called Graham v. Connor. It was passed in 1989, and it's not going anywhere. It's been challenged year after year, and it's going to be here for the next generation or two. And what Graham v. Connor says is you have to judge an officer's use of force based on what they call totality of circumstances. That means all of the information that you know at the time you made the decision, not after the fact. So you notice the words from these prosecutors. They said things like, he didn't have a gun, and the officer didn't get hit by the car, and the officer wasn't even behind the car. Well, that's all information that we know after the fact. And Graham v. Connor specifically says you cannot judge actions like that, because they said, listen, we grant officers this authority to use of force, even deadly force, but they have to do it with a split-second decision. So we can't judge them after the fact. It actually is called hindsight bias by looking at it after the fact. Well, everybody wants to do that. So look at this case from that standpoint, Chip. Totality of circumstances. He carjacked a woman. They knew that information. They find him. They go up to him. He starts non-complying. He starts hiding his hands. He starts backing the car up. He strikes the police car. And the officer perceived that there was an officer in the car's path as it's backing up, and he uses deadly force. And what they used to charge him with was, well, the guy wasn't actually in the car path. He was just to the side. Well, imagine yourself in that situation as you're focused in on the suspect driving your car and hitting cars and driving, and just did a carjacking. You think maybe he's got a gun because he's hiding his hands. Here's a tip. Most people that carjack vehicles do have guns. Everybody with the brain knows that. So he's using peripheral vision, and you have very limited peripheral vision in a high-stress situation. That's not me. That's what science says. Everybody wants to believe the science these days. And so, yeah, completely appropriate. His perception was that officer's life was in danger. But even if you take that away, Chip, people don't know this. We can shoot fleeing felons that are extreme risks to the public if they get away. And so even if you throw that first part out, that argument that I made, the case law also says that if someone is committed a felony and fleeing, and they are a risk to the public if not captured, you can use deadly force. You can shoot them in the back. You can shoot them from the back of the car. You can shoot them as they're fleeing away. It's why it's called fleeing felons. Okay. And so there's two arguments here that I'm sure can easily be made by an expert on this case that will be made, but they're going to play games because I've seen this. They're going to say, oh, we don't want those experts' opinions, and we don't want them to talk about policy and training, and we just want to judge this. So they're going to have to play all these games, but we got to pray that the jury will get to hear what I just said and make the appropriate decision, because it's extremely unfair. And that's why these officers in Boston are up in arms, because they know, just like we know, this has happened across the country every single day. We watch videos like this every week on this show, and there's many more out there. So, am I happy that people have to lose their lives? No. But that was caused by the actions of the suspect. And Chip, this is why I launched this course called Focus, Field Observable Cues for Unknown Situations. It takes totality of circumstances and gives it to officers in a documented way to be able to document that. And it's the first safety system for law enforcement on pre-attack indicators based in peer-reviewed research. If anybody's interested in that, I did this. One reason I did this is because I kept seeing officers being prosecuted for legal justified shootings. And this is going to give them some power and control and educate these politicians before it comes to that. If anyone's interested, you can go to focuscertified.com. It tells you all about that program. We're doing those live around the country right now, focuscertified.com.
I love it. I love it. Guys, remember that, focuscertified.com, and check that out. All right. I love it. Love it. Anything else? Are you ready to roll to the next one, Travis Yates?
Oh, I think I spoke enough on that one. Let's roll.
Okay. Well, we got some videos here. Look, I'll take these in order. There are a couple of canine videos as well, but I'll take these in order unless you want to take one out of where, the first one, there's Fairfax one. It's just utterly chaotic. It just so many flashbacks of so many scenes. It's so typical, right? Rumble.com, our favorite law enforcement video channel called This Is Butter, a perfect example on just total chaos and you never know what you're going to find. So we have 2 dead after 3 family members. 3 end up being stabbed. The suspect ends up being fatally shot by Fairfax police officers. We have two females that end up dying. The male suspect or male victim lives, but we have two females. I think a mother and a daughter end up dying. So we're in Fairfax, Virginia. This man fatally stabs his daughter and his wife. Then he attacks his son-in-law before the officers arrive, and they shoot him inside a Mantua apartment. Now, can you imagine the son-in-law? I'm assuming it was his wife that ended up, being stabbed and killed, by his father, but or by her father. But officers ended up getting a call on February 23rd. It's a DV call, domestic violence call, and they say that they found a woman with stab wounds outside the residence. And if you watch the video, the beginning of the video, there's a 911 call. If you listen to it, there's a female neighbor telling the 911 dispatcher that, my husband won't let me open the door and let the female who's bleeding outside and screaming for help. I can't let her in, but I want to call and let you guys know. She's calling the police, but her husband was scared and didn't want to let in the female victim that ended up dying. So the cops get there. It sounded like a death there right away. And you can hear the woman screaming. They're in a stairwell. It's an apartment complex. And so the officer initially was trying to get the female who stabbed and bleeding, out, trying to get her to come up the stairs to him. And she's not, complying. I don't blame her. So he ends up going down. And so now we have two male officers, and they're outside this apartment door. And it ends up being unlocked. They open up the door. And when they open it up, they encounter the bad guy, Chatra Thapa, and he's armed with a knife, and he's kneeling over a male victim. Presumably, had already stabbed him. And there's a second woman that we really unaware of that's been stabbed too in that apartment, and she ends up dying too. So it was either the wife or the daughter was outside the apartment, and the other one was on the inside, and they both ended up dying. But when the cops open the door, the guy's got a knife. He's it looks like he's on his knees with the male victim in front of him, laying on the ground, and he's got the knife in his hand. And when they tell him to drop the knife, he raises the knife up, and he goes into stabbing motion when they light him up. And our bad guy died at the scene. The victims identified as 33-year-old Mamta Thapa and 52-year-old Binda Thapa. They're taken to the hospital, pronounced dead. Male victim hospitalized with life-threatening conditions. And then there's a 1-year-old baby you can hear crying at the end that was unharmed in the apartment and has since been placed with family. Travis, what a chaotic scene. And at least we have the baby survived and the male did, but crap.
Yeah, I think anyone that's done this job sees that video, and we all have examples, maybe not just like that, and where we've gotten onto a scene and seen things like this. But yeah, when they show up in that room and he's sitting there with the knife and he got blood all over him, it's just brutal, right? Just brutal. Not much to say about it other than, compound what you saw in that video times 1,000, and that's the career of a law enforcement officer, and they have to live with that and sleep with that. And it is what it is. They don't really tell you that stuff in the academy. Okay, this is the type of scenes you're going to see. This is not a movie. It's not a television show. This is real life.
I totally agree. And I just saw the message you sent me too. Yeah, by all means. Yeah. But the trail, when they opened up the door, just the blood from the doorway all the way leading into the apartment, you knew nothing good. There was going to be nothing good to come out of that. Other than the survival of the two people. But oh my gosh, that was just that was brutal. I just wish we had more people that weren't too scared to open up the doors and to help save victims. What kind of a world are we in where we're just you got a female pleading for her life, and the only thing that would have made it worse is the guys outside that door stabbed her to death, and she dies like that, but I'm assuming that she ended up bleeding out and didn't get the help that she needed. If the neighbors would have at least opened the door and maybe done some kind of compresses on the wound or something to minimize the bleeding, maybe she would have survived, but it's just sad.
Well, I would say it's a sign of the times, but we have that case out in New York City from 40, 50 years ago where I forget the name of it, where a woman was pleading for help, and the entire neighborhood ignored her, right? And she ended up being brutally murdered. So they've done a lot of research and case studies on that and the philosophy behind that. But yeah, unfortunately, people, it goes back to that cowardice versus courage, right? Most people, their default is, I'm not getting involved. I'm not saying anything. I don't want to. That's just most people's default. That's when people can walk right into a store right now and just fill their shopping bags full of stuff and walk right out, and nobody says a word to them. Right? That's just unfortunately the world we live in.
Yeah, too bad. Well, you ready well, I can whet the appetite with the naked guy. If you can handle the naked guy story, I'll whet the appetite. We'll go to the commercial break and then we'll cover when we come back. Is that, can you handle that?
Yeah,
I know. I know. Okay. This is at rumble.com. This is Butters, the channel. Naked man shot when he attacks people and he tries to hit officers with a shovel. You guys don't want to miss this story. Stick with us. We'll be right back. All right, guys, time to talk about GunLearn at gunlearn.com. And, as law enforcement officers, we deal with guns and we deal with ammo every day, but it's what we don't know about them that gets us into trouble. And they've actually announced a new partnership with a Smarter Degree, and they actually allow certifications. This is gunlearn.com. You can get certified as a firearm specialist by gunlearn.com. And even over the last 5 years, if you got that certification, you can now rotate that in the college credits through Smarter Degrees university partners. And whether you're pursuing a degree or you just want to maximize the value of your education, the partnership opens up a new pathway to academic recognition for your firearm training. Gunlearn.com is the first and the only company that offers a step-by-step program to take you from your present knowledge level, become a safe, accurate, and competent certified firearm specialist. And that's the key. Become a certified firearm specialist and get credit for those college credits. This is one and the same now. Go to gunlearn.com to get more information, guys. Gunlearn.com. All right, we've got 2 minutes before we come back to the radio portion of the show. And Dan O'Kelly just arranged that. He's been giving out these certifications, for a while, and now they're counted as college credits. So good deal. You got to love it. So what kind of energy drink was that you were working on earlier, Travis? All right, you're muted.
White Monster.
The white monster. Oh, okay.
My wife tried to buy me this bougie one called Bloom, and I'm like, yeah, I can't be handling that. That's too weak for me.
Too weak. I'm drinking a Bang Energy right now, and I'm still trying to work things out with Black Rifle. Haven't heard anything in a while. Sent a new email. Haven't got a response back from that yet. So still hoping something happens there. It's all about opportunities. Bruce Dwyer, welcome to the show on Facebook. Thanks for watching, along with everybody else. Betty Dunn, Alan Inman, and the crew. We appreciate it. And also we've still got Chili and MVS, and this is Butter and all the guys over on Rumble as well. So you got big plans for this week, Travis Shades? We got about 36 seconds before we come back to the show.
Focus has got my attention full time, and people go to that website, focuscertified.com. You'll see this is a game changer generationally for law enforcement. We're going to save a lot of lives with it. So that's what I'm doing every day from here on out. And you've got lawofficer.com, so you're burning at both ends, kind of like me. And guys, yeah, you're going to start. Hopefully, we'll be able to make this. I don't want marriage is probably not the right word, but with lawofficer.com, they got great content, and we've relaunched the message board, leoaffairs.ch. We'll be working together on that. All right, guys, welcome back. Leo Roundtable at leoroundtable.com, the law enforcement talk show. My name is Chip the Block, and I'm your host. We're joined by Dr. Travis Shades, retired police major from Tulsa Police Department. And we left off getting ready to do a story about a naked man being shot when he attacks people and he tries to hit officers with a shovel. And there's a lot to talk about here. And I don't mean that necessarily. I'm not talking about the naked guy. There's not a lot to talk about with that. There's probably not a lot to talk about with that, but I'm talking about the way it went down, Travis, just so I can clarify that. Yuba City, California. This is how they roll in California. Usually when I see naked guys, I think, okay, this is going to be another Florida story, making all the Florida guys look crazy. But we got some competition from California. So police in a place called Yuba, that is Yuba, never heard of it, Yuba City. And I'm assuming that I am pronouncing that correctly.
They released video from an officer-involved shooting, and officers shoot this guy. They say he attacked people and he tried to hit officers with a shovel. There are a lot of things done the wrong way on this. The shooting happened February 26th, and about 9:15 in the morning, cops get a call to a nearby street for reports of a guy that's walking in a neighborhood naked. Now, the police department says they find this guy, Guillermo Figueroa. He's 31 years old, and yeah, he's naked, and he allegedly assaulted family members, and he tried to break into another home by ramming the front door. And if you don't believe that, there is a surveillance video of this guy running through someone's yard across the street. Travis, he jumps not over the hood of the trunk, but over the roof of the car, lands on the ground, and then he gets a running start. And now these people have like a doorbell cam. And you see this guy running up, and he's naked. He's just pounding into this glass door. He does that twice. The second time, he shatters glass, and he bounces off the door, and there's somebody inside the house. You can hear them, and then he starts running back, and the cops get there pretty quick. And there's a foot pursuit, and he runs away. They chase him. Now, it looks like he's given up, and so they try to take him into custody, but he resists. Well, they don't really say exactly how they do it. The guy follows commands. He gets in a prone position, face down on the ground, puts his hands behind his back, both hands. This is the cop. This is what he does. He gets lazy, and he leans over, bends over, and he decides to put the cuffs on one at a time. He's supposed to get him in a 3-point pin. That way, if the guy breaks bad, he's got control of him. And of course, the worst thing, as Travis knows, is you got a bad guy that gets one handcuff on and he pulls away. Now he's got that weapon with that other cuff dangling. God forbid it opens up into like a hook, and it's even worse. Well, that's exactly what happened. So they go to put him on. There's 2 cops there. No one's on him, controlling him, and he breaks bad. And so now they pull out the tasers and stuff, and they're going back and forth. He busts through a wooden fence, and they, at that point, at some point, they transition from expandable metal batons to firearms, but he grabs a shovel, and he takes at least 2 swipes at the officer in close proximity before they light him up and they shoot him. I was kind of hoping they would have shot him sooner. He remains in critical but stable condition, if you can believe that. And a family member who was assaulted was treated for minor injuries and released. Dr. Travis Yates.
This week, Major League Baseball is starting back, and there was a big deal many, many years ago about performance enhancement drugs, PEDs, and they started cracking down on that. Now, what they don't test for in Major League Baseball is they don't test for PCP. And I hope some of our baseball players haven't seen this video, because the athleticism of this gentleman was pretty incredible. I mean, he does a barrel over a car, lands right on his feet. The power, just barrels through doors. Pretty impressive. But from that aside, I don't understand why we are continuing to see hesitation with law enforcement. You can't ask for anything more to know that we've got to get this guy under control. And so what we see is, obviously, you see a completely naked guy, and they know, every law enforcement officer knows on that call before they even get there, that this guy's either got PCP or some seriously laced fentanyl or marijuana that's caused this psychosis. But you're not going to reason with these individuals. I don't understand why we continue with the repeated commands. And surprisingly, he does comply initially. So if you got that compliance, you ought to be on top of him like nobody's business. And they just act like just cuffing him up like a shoplifting suspect. And so it was clear and obvious this was going to go bad. And so, of course, they get one handcuff on him, and then he breaks free. And then they just start with the commands, and they start with the taser, and it just goes on and on and on until a guy with no weapon then gets a weapon, which is a shovel. And so at that point, they have to use deadly force. Now, Chip, I hate to keep repeating this because I'm not a sales guy, but watching these videos every week is one reason, as we've talked about, why I developed this training. Because this hesitation is actually creating more force. See, we all think de-escalation is we talk to them like Chick-fil-A and no force is used. Actually, it's the opposite. The longer they talk to this guy, the more likely they were going to have to use high levels of force. But if they would have been on him immediately and not surrendered and continued the lower level of force, which is handcuffing and strikings and tasers and things like that, then they would have never got to where they had to shoot him. Now, it's completely justified, but my point is we're training hesitation in so many officers. because we're so worried about everything like what's going on in Boston, and we're worried about YouTube, we're worried about politicians, we're worried about what the chief's going to say, and that training, that hesitation is why we're giving violent people time to then be violent. There has officially never been a violent person that had violent intentions that you walked up to like Chick-fil-A and said, please, sir, do what I say, that all of a sudden went, you know what, you're right. So that was never going to happen here, but we keep acting like it is. And so we have to stop hesitating. 10, 15 years ago, this shooting never happened. Chip, you and I both know that. Because if you rode up on a call like that, you would take care of it immediately, because you knew if you didn't, it was going to go bad.
Yeah, no doubt. It's just, you got to call it like you see it. This shooting would have been likely prevented. I don't know how strong the guy was. I don't know what he was jacked up on, but if they would have got him in a 3-point pin and got hands on this guy when he was in a prone position, and of course they knew that he was not armed, right? I mean, the one advantage of dealing with someone that's completely naked is that that they don't have any hidden weapons.
As a heterosexual male, I think he was armed.
You think he was armed?
If I was that close to him, I would think he was armed.
Oh. But just a missed opportunity. And, of course, because of the way cops did, they would have got one handcuff on him and shot him because he had that weapon. You could argue that if they would have done proper handcuffing procedures, that it never would have escalated to the point of deadly force. And, of course, he ended up getting a hold of the shovel because, arguably because of the way they handled the arrest, in a lazy way, in the beginning, which is weird.
Let me tell you what our research showed in this training, focuscertified.com. The officers that were shot or shot at waited till they saw over 6 pre-attack indicators, 6, and that was through hesitation. We looked at 5 years of data nationwide. Officers that were shot or shot at saw pre-attack indicators 5.5 to 6 times. And they didn't do anything, and they were subsequently shot or shot at. The officers that showed up on a call and saw these same pre-attack indicators, which is predictions of violence, potential violence is going to occur, that were not shot, average 1.5. They saw an average of 1.5 indicators. What's the difference between those officers not getting shot and the officers that got shot or attacked? The officers took care of it once they saw the indicators. So the officers that didn't and hesitated and continued down this road of let's just give repeated commands, those officers are getting hurt. That's why since 2020, every year since, Chip, the officer assault rate has increased to a record high in 2024. We're still waiting for last year's data. A record high. It's increased over 100% in the last 10 years. And no one's talking about this because we are training cops to get hurt by hesitating.
Let me throw this out there too, Travis. There is one device out there that's non-lethal that would have made a world of difference with this bad guy.
Yeah, the glove. I've already said it should be in the hands of every police officer. If you're a police leader and you care about your officer's safety, you have lost your mind if you're not providing them with a glove. You've got to go get that for your officers. This should be mandatory academy equipment. Yeah,
this would have been over, and it sobers people up. They've got people they're wigged out on all kinds of drugs and stuff, and it sobers them up immediately when they apply, which is the craziest thing. There's so many great things about the glove at CompliantTechnologies.com. Travis and I both had it applied when we were at SHOT Show together in January, and we have some healthy respect for the glove. Believe me. So. Well, guys, and Dr. Travis, thanks for being on the show. Also, this focuscertified.com that you've got going on, very exciting stuff. I want to hear, more about that, and I want to, continue to help you push that out there. We got to get something on the new legal affairs about that too, so guys can become aware of that on all the platforms. So, guys, check out focuscertified.com. I have it on the screen, but for all the Audible listeners, that are radio and podcast, focuscertified.com. Check it out. I do want to mention the Wounded Blue at thewoundedblue.org. Lieutenant Randy Sutton's 501c3 that's helping cops out in the world of hurt that are suffering from things like PTSD and other issues. So please consider supporting that organization. They're doing some great stuff. Also, a shout out to our sponsors, Gauls.com, CompliantTechnologies.com, Gunlearn.com, MyMedicare.live, SafeGuardRecruiting.com, and TwoBells.com. We'll see you guys back tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern. And we've got about a minute to go before we get, we're going to keep the satellite company happy, and we'll go to the top of the hour. But final words, Dr. Travis.
No, I appreciate it. The most thing I appreciate about this is the podcast, this is the show, but it should be the educational platform. So I appreciate the opportunity to help educate, hopefully.
No, and we need to start. We're for people watching the show. Yeah, we're pulling our resources. There's a lot of very talented people involved with what Travis and I are doing, and Travis has got lawofficer.com. They've got a huge reach. It's a good website, and that Travis, I've covered stories before from other sources. There's another source not run by a police officer, but pretty big. And I stopped using them because I got caught with my pants down on a couple of their stories that were not accurate. So I don't have to worry about anything on lawofficer.com. And the information's vetted. It's good. And now with relaunching leoaffairs.com, the message board site, we're just trying to cover things from all the angles and give the tools and the opportunities to all the law enforcement officers in today's world in order to deal with this stuff. So if you've got breaking news you want to become aware of, lawofficer.com. If you're maybe with an agency and you want to expose some stuff that's going on, if you're a Minneapolis cop and you've got Mayor Jacob Frey or the chief telling you don't go out and back up the ICE guys or wait till they shoot somebody and then go seize evidence so we can charge them, put that on there. You will have anonymity at leoaffairs.ch. And that's the way we built it, so that your identity will be protected. So a lot of different things going on. So guys, thanks for watching the show. We're going to let you guys go. We'll see you back tomorrow. We're live all this week. Tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern. And on my little surgical procedure went good. I've just got a nice little bandage there, a little war scar there, but it's all good. So thanks for the comments and checking in on me. We'll see you guys tomorrow, 12 noon Eastern.